Good morning, everyone. This is Candace French with Contract Counsel with Legislative Counsel.
And so with that, it's not with the Department of Health, not for the division. You are here, we can start with your report. Scott, are you feeling communicative comments? Top of chat. Now we're waiting for a form that's inside your report.
Where Linda's bringing. Perfect. Let me get this.
Shirley and development on that these that we put.
So do we need to correct that?
No, they're all on there.
No, the report.
So because they didn't, the presenters
Take off there
didn't.
now.
No, Navajo Department of Health is coming, Marlinda and Shirley, and then also division.
No, but what I'm saying is
Okay.
you have two of them together.
Yes, yes,
So take off.
yes. No. Your choice.
Take off Department of Health because that was only report B.
No, they're both that issue for legislation CO-40.
Oh, yeah, you are right. The one for the 8
Yeah,
okay.
yes. Yes.
Legislation 148.
Yeah, there should be a copy.
Oh, I was taking the lead off of what they were gonna be presenting. Oh.
I'm assuming you guys meet with each other, so.
Yeah. Well, I think from our side of, Honorable Chair James, what we're looking at in terms of the report, they're under that legislation that was passed by council for the 148 million, the CO 43-24. So for first off, what we're looking at, there was existing assessment done in 2017. So that 2017 report is what we're going through. And under that assessment, they have breaking it out. They have it broken out into categories, renovation, equipment. So from the assessment portion of it, and what we're looking at, breaking up to where the immediate items that can be addressed in terms of like equipment upgrade, those are the ones that the Department of Community Health are going to undertake the risk and take care of that. The second part of it, some of the areas is minor renovations. Under the physical needs assessment report that was done, performed back in 2017, we're going through that. It's a facility index, condition index that we're going to be utilizing depending on the conditions at the time when it was reported in 2017 to now, and seeing what needs to happen. In there, I haven't had a chance to go through kind of sample it, but that's going to base us on the ones that need to happen immediately for OEH. So we're working on that. The other area that we're looking at is breaking out. There are some projects in there that are already funded under New Mexico site. Some of those chapters already have money on the Mexico capital outlay, and we're seeing what's on this one, see if it meets the same requests. So that's going through the process now with what that's put together. Portion that we're breaking out is a new construction. There's roughly $35 million. $471, and that's the we were talking about some of the construction aspects of it. One of the questions that came up on some of these facilities were the ADA requirements, and this is for this physical needs assessment that we got to really look at in more detail. Some of the reporting that was done, I've seen, is some of them only takes on accessibility, right? But we don't take on the visual impaired or hearing impaired. So we're going through that documentation to where we need to upgrade that. The caveat to this thing is that we're going to put together the scoping once we have that previously developed, and something we'll need to update that document instead of having to go back and do it over. That's where we're sitting at, sir. We're taking up everything else already down, so we're breaking them up from what we can do. So, ask about that on that allocation. That's kind of what we're seeing in terms of the party.
Question here is the legislation BC 4324 was passed by Navigation Council pertaining to senior centers. The things that we're operating under is, of course, the legislation. That breaks out a 100 and it's under section 4, section 5. The other topic that we're operating under is the memorandum that President Knight signed when he was signing the legislation stating that assessment needed to be made, and also the before anything could be done. So we're operating under those two documents, which is the legislative president's memorandum. And I believe, Mr. Lucetta covered most of everything. One that, we wanted to do is that, put it into categories, let's do the simple ones first, okay, all the. That way you don't have, the whole, project into one, you know, it gets overwhelmed, but if you separate them by category, it's much easier to manage. So, based on that, let's take care of the equipment and some of the items that, that's easy to take care of. Based on the 2017 assessment, maybe we can go back and do a quick review, see what is good, and so forth. The other one, there's 14.2 million is tied into New Mexico. Just looking at the document, so we need to probably put that as one of the priorities. That way we know that there's external monies out there, 14.2. So we can take care of that first, and then also with the equipment, anything. So we're getting the planning. Yes. So the other part that is still in the planning is a lot of times we get monies without a lot of planning, allocation, or who's going to do what and all that construction. So it's pretty hard to get project managers or folks to project. So like what DC CPMD, they only have 6 or 7 project managers, and the priority within the last number of months is taking care of the New Mexico capital outlay, and they're still making that a priority because of the upcoming legislative session within a few weeks from now. So as you open time, so we're sort of spread them. And one of the things that we also discussed is the IDIQ. The 4 IDIQ that was put under contract for the ARPA, when money was moved, they sort of lost their allocations and all that because it turned into general funds, the RRR account. So they're winding down on some of their what was already given to them a number of months ago. So what we were saying was that in the IDIQ, state funds, general funds, CESN, ARPA, and other funding that is allocated to NAFTA, maybe we can identify some monies within this allocation that was given. Maybe we can get a 2 or IQ to help us project manage these projects, because it's a big undertaking. Especially if it's a renovation. We never know what's going to be renovated. It might be a $15,000 renovation. It turns into $1 million renovation. So we have to be very careful when we start talking renovation. So so that's the other things that we're discussing is how do we get project. But in the meantime, from DCB, since Mr. Rosetta was really tied down with New Mexico capital outlay, I identified Casey Brigade to help with this undertaking. Today, he's on leave today, so he'll be happy with some of these project management going forward. So and then also we like to create a structure. Sure, of this structure meeting, okay. HEHSC, the sponsor, who are all the lead agencies, because going forward, we don't want to be in a situation where fingers and all that. We want to sign a document saying, okay, your function is this, yours is that, and all that. So we wanted, to create that structure, we want to create that structure, so. Yes, you know, this is, a lot of money, 107 plus 35, you're talking about 180 million. So we want to have structure within this, legislation. So that would be the extent of, my report, and then also CPMD.
Again, thank you with that. So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order here at 10:17 a.m. With that, we'll move on to roll call.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Health, Education, Human Services Committee. Roll call for December 23rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the Budget and Finance Conference Room. Honorable Helena Nesbegay. Honorable Helena Nesbegay is present. Honorable Vincent James.
Delegate James present.
Honorable Vincent James is present. Honorable Dr. Andy Nez. Honorable Dr. Andy Nez is present. Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson is present. Honorable George Toth. Honorable George Toth did not answer roll call. Honorable Curtis Yanito. Honorable Curtis Yanito is present. Mr. Chair, you have 5 members present, 1 absent, including yourself, which constitutes a quorum.
Honorable. Personal skill.
Mr. Toth would be considered absent, excused.
All right, so that, thank you. With invocation, we will utilize the land commission this morning. So with that, we'll move on to the next item, which is announcement. If committee members, are there any announcements for once? Times number 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. And good morning, everyone. Those that are listening and those that are present. So good morning, if you can help. With that, we'll move on to item number 3, review and adopt the agenda.
Chair and members of the Health, Education, Human Services Committee, we have Ms. Sherelle Rota here. Hired as a advisor. So today she's kind of our special guest to Mr. Chair, is that okay?
Okay, yeah, so, if she's comfortable with it, she wants to do it. Yeah. She's in training, so.
Thank you.
Good morning, Health, Education and Human Services Committee members and everyone here in attendance. This is the this is the review and adopt the agenda, proposed agenda, Health, Education and Human Services Committee. 25th Navajo Nation Council regular meeting, December 23rd, 2024, 10 o'clock a.m. Presiding Honorable Vincent James, Chairperson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson, Vice Chairperson, place Budget and Finance Conference Room. 1, call meeting to order, roll call, invocation, announcements. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journals dated November 25th, 2024, regular meeting. Dated December 4th, 2024, special meeting. 5, receiving reports. A, report Navajo Department of Health, Navajo Division of Community Development. Update on the implementation of resolution number CO-43-24. Presenter Cheryl Minhazi, Interim Executive Director, Department of Health. Marlinda Littleman, Health Services Administrator, Department of Health. Arden Mitchell, Division Director, Division of Community Development. Dwayne Waseda, Department Manager, Capital Project Management Department. Division of Community Development. B, report / update Navajo Department of Health. Discussion to update past resolution number HEHSCMA-02-03. Presenter Cheryl Miyagi, Interim Executive Director, Department of Health. Michelle Morris, Legislative Analyst, Department of Health. C, report Navajo Veterans Administration update on goal accomplishment completions. Presenter Bobby Baldwin, Executive Director in NVA. Elvira Teller, Housing Specialist, Housing Officer in NBA. 6, new business none, 7, old business none, 8, close of meeting announcements adjournment. Chair.
Yes, now let's thank you. And good to know that you are training. Every committee, right? Every committee. So. If, you know, you're gonna be promoted to a new position. Yeah, thank you. But I think we're gonna. And you can start. It's not going anywhere. How education human services. So, AJ, yeah, good to have you here tonight. Working in the past before, and then law and order committee. Yeah. That, thank you, committee members. We have a motion. Motion made by Honorable Curtis Yanito, second. Second by Honorable Serena Gay. With that, committee members, are there any corrections, add-on deletions to our agenda?
Thank you, Chair. So I received an update from Ms. Baldwin from NBA that they.
So are you doing an amendment to take them on?
Well, I. If they're able to make it according to the.
Okay, so you make that motion. So with amendment one is made by Honorable Dr. Nance to delete item C report and now project information. Do I have a second? Second by Honorable Dr. Simonson. Are there questions, committee members to on amendment one to delete item C under report and applicant administration? Honorable Dr.
Yeah, I just have an additional comment. I think this goes back to a lot of programs. They always indicate that they're informed at the last minute. And sometimes it's on a Friday afternoon where there's. Earlier, we mentioned that we would put in a meeting on January 16th since. One, they didn't get their goals to school events where we were putting it on since they were already in their agenda. But then they're on here, and I think that's where this already informed us. They're unable to be present here because they're being exchange. So just as a recommendation to increase staff, because again, if it's coming out of Friday and giving a report on Monday, just.
Well, constituents.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So this was a discussion that I had since we didn't get to the work session report that narrows. I asked Ms. Benali to go ahead and just add them to the agenda and then to contact them. So it's a report that they were already ready for. So they were there at Coneros and they have the documents that they were ready. But in this case, if it's a complex then it's then entertain them. I really wanted to hear them, but again, they're not here, they're available. Agenda. So. Yeah, so that will be it. Ms. Benali?
We do have somebody from the Veterans Administration in the audience, not the individuals who are listed. Representative is, and the since HEHSC does Monday, and then the agenda is for. Love it, take it to Sunday. But It, I do. James review it, I can get it posted. But since I'm pretty much all of the committee members, for their input, sometimes I do get received. I do revise it and then you submit it to for your review and then it gets posted. And whatever time I back is when I post it immediately. And we can discuss that. Logistics is just that I would have to help with the decline and then I consider it new as a request. Just to get it posted.
Thank you. So I think it's very important that we also inform our program that they need to keep in contact with the department. Actually, one of the documents, but I believe the representative from the grants department. It's very important that we tell the department that they need to keep in contact with the advisors. That we're not getting all the materials. But right now, we have a motion and a second on the floor. To delete veterans report at the request, or it's following, right? President is probably following. So representative, apologize. I can see that you guys are here, from Veterans Administration Office. Yeah. So with that, if there's no other questions, there is a motion second, going once, going twice, going 3 times. With that, how do you vote? Honorable Anita? Me. Honorable Martinez? Vice Chair? Honorable Anita James? With that, we have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 not voting. So with that, item C, the report now of Veterans Administration that has been deleted off our agenda. So with that, are there any other additional amendments? Committee members? Going once, Honorable Yunito?
I just want to make an announcement.
We are on the review and docket agenda.
I just want to introduce my LPA.
Hello, this is John. I know some of you are ready to be here and learn, thank you.
Oh, thank you, welcome. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and go to the second reading real quick.
Chair and honorable members of Health, Education and Human Services Committee. Second reading of the agenda. Health, Education and Human Services Committee 25th Nomination Council regular meeting, December 23rd, 2024, 10:00 a.m. Presiding Honorable Vince R. James, Chairperson, Honorable Jermaine Simonson, Vice Chairperson, Place Budget and Finance Conference Room. 1, call meeting to order, roll call invocation announcements. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journals, November 25th, 2024, regular meeting. December 4, special meeting. 5, receiving reports. A, report. Naval Department of Health, Naval Division of Community Development, update on the implementation of resolution number CO-43-24, presented Sherilyn Indiazi, interim executive director, Department of Health, Marlinda Littleman, Health Services Administrator, Department of Health, Urban Metro Division of Division Director, Division of Community Development, Dwayne Rosetta, Department Manager, Capital Project Management Department, Division of Community Development. B, report / update Naval Department of Health discussion to update HEHSC resolution number HEHSC-A-02-03. Presented Sherilyn Indiazi, interim executive director, Department of Health, Michelle Morris, legislative analyst, Department of Health. Report 3, deleted. Business none, 7, new business none, 8, closing meeting announcements adjourned. Chair.
Thank you. So with that, a motion. For. Veto, Honorable Alina as the main motion, so to adopt the agenda,
Mr. Chair, your main motion was by Dr. Endinez and second by Jermaine Simonson.
that was amendment one. That was. To read C. And then the main motion. Was made by Honorable Courtesy Veto and second by Honorable Alina again. So with that, to adopt the agenda with one item deleted. Honorable Benito, how do you vote? Honorable. Honorable Nancy Gay. Honorable Dr. Nez. Amber, can you get, I think this is outside the door. Is that Honorable Dr. Nez, Dr. Green? So with that, we have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 not voting. So with that, we do have an adopted agenda before us. Quickly, Merry Christmas to all you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the Santa hat and the lights. So Merry Christmas. From me, my family, to yours, from HEHSC to you, thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, we'll move on to item number 4, review adopt the journal, November 25th, regular meeting, December 4th, 2024, special meeting. So with that, committee members, do I have a motion to adopt both receiver reports?
I motion to adopt both written reports.
By Honorable Rita Gay, do I have a second by Honorable Curtis Benito. Committee members, are there any questions pertaining to the journals for November 25th and December 4th, 2024? Going once, going twice, going 2 times, there is none. So with that, Honorable Benito, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Jermaine Simonson.
Green.
Honorable Helena Nancy Gay. Honorable Dr. Nance. So with that, we have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 not voting. So with that, our journals have been adopted. Moving on to item number 5, the student report. We do have a report now for the Department of Health, now for the Division of Community Development. So committee members, we did hear a report on this from Ms. Melinda. And then also the division director, Cheryl Yalzi at Twin Arrows, and then now we just received another report on community development. Let's go ahead and go straight into asking for a motion in a second, and then we can go into questions. Honorable Courtesy Veto. Next second, Honorable Vice Chair Jermaine Simonson. Committee members, are there any questions pertaining to report A? Benito, and then Honorable Vice Chair. Benito. Questions, comments?
Let me swear. Report. I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, you just want to accept the report? Okay. Honorable Vice Chair?
Okay, so if I have questions, you're gonna go back to them or no?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of, do you do have anything really juicy for us? I mean. Are you all free for Christmas presents? Okay, no. Okay, well,
With that, if there's no questions or comments, let me give time back over to the presenters. But just know that we did hear the report pertaining to this. We sort of went into a lengthy discussion at work session on Twin Arrows pertaining to this, but community development wasn't there at that time. So we already heard what we were. So we rehearsed on community development.
I'll just have a comment to make then.
And yeah, so that's the reason why I came back. Okay, so with that, do you want me to give you like some time before? Okay, so with that, Vice Chair?
Yes, thank you, Chair James, and then, the Health Committee and the, Department of Health and Community Development. Good morning, thank you for being here. I'm sorry I missed your report this morning. But I think just our concern, I'm reading, just the legislation here again. I didn't really get to read, President Lincoln's, letter here, but now I did, and, at first, I was a little offended that he called it a wish list, but then it really is a wish list, you know, because we've been wishing for so long, you know, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think for me, because he does mention Pinion, but for us, you know, it really has been a wish because those are the community, and I just feel like, so certainly maybe it wasn't thorough. Yes, we were sort of, you know, we were guessing, but we weren't just throwing things against the wall either to see what sticks. Pinion needs a bigger facility. That building is old. That is certainly a wish list for the elders out there. And I heard from them, you know, a couple of days prior to this actually coming to fruition. They were young, the shows, the whole habit, it's the organization and plus as the hub for all the smaller communities. So people come there to shop, you know, dashes, there's gaps there, there's all kinds of things there. So, and a school, big school district. So elders come in from different places and let's stop what they need. So it certainly has, you know, needs to be be bigger. And so I was, you know, also how they felt about this and then this came. Same with Whippoorwill. They've had a facility that burned down and Yanda will come. First they wanted me to attempt they were seeking insurance. You know, they said insurance, and this building was here and can we use it? No, I still today don't understand, you know, and I think Mr. from DOJ, Mr. Begay, was one of the ones who said, no, you don't qualify for insurance because of this. He has his reasoning. I'm not a lawyer, so therefore I don't really understand all the legalities. But the fact is that they did have insurance. I think they were temporarily not in the building because it was being renovated. And when this fire happened, and the thing is that there were two separate times where first the chapter house caught fire, then later was the senior or vice versa, whatever. But I don't think it was really it wasn't the people's intention to try to get new buildings through burning fires. They just happened to happen sort of at the same time, and the community is probably in a bit of chaotic, you know, we have those communities all over. So, but the fact is they had insurance, you know, and so, but they were with the chapter to go, okay, they were able to utilize their insurance and rebuild their chapter, and you should go out there. It's a beautiful facility that they were able to rebuild for themselves. Now they want to see their senior back. So, how they tell about this, finally, I have this opportunity. They've been fighting with insurance for over a year, 2 years now. And finally, this opportunity came. So it certainly is our prayer and answer to those prayers and those wishes and those wants. Got it. And the whole banking, I really, really want these beautiful building structures to come up for our elders. And within, you know, these next few years, a year or two, I would like to see that. My Pinion and Whippoorwill building locations, the land is there. It's ready to be built. I think Pinion just has to clean up some rubble by their chapter. But they'll need to come in to see that there's not asbestos or there is, or how to handle that mess. So, but they're willing to clean it up right away, but we just need to get the EPA involved. Ja, kinskhet on the ashland, or whether, you know, if we said ECD would manage it. If in your report, you, mentioned part of your capability, you know, are you able to handle this? I mentioned to, Mrs. Littleman that, maybe the low hanging are those, sites that are ready to be built, put them into phases, you know, like a, for example, Pinyon Well are ready for build, the land base, the land status, everything is there, the infrastructure is there. Those will be ready to go. So can you start to prioritize and say what is ready and what is not? And certainly I understood this legislation that like some seniors might not need all this money that it's been given. Because I know there's some work that's already being done or has been done. So then this money would just be fluid in this, you know, where then it'll go where it needs to go, you know. So one of my seniors might not need all the money that it's asking for, but that it would then find its way to another one that needs it more than they do. So, and I was fine with that, you know, and that's the way it should work. So I really am looking forward. I do, as a delegate, want to spend and make this one of my priorities, and I'm committed to participating in meetings from here forward on how we can really work together and make these things happen and really be part of this whole process. So each case on this, let's work together. Other questions I have. Our seniors that were built, could we just utilize those same design and engineering to save the cost saving on design and engineering? Could we just use some of those existing blueprints, architectural schematics, whatever you call them? Could we utilize those and, you know, and maybe there's a couple of them, maybe our community get to choose one of them, I don't know. Years back, I know Hard Rockies, you know, my mother was very much involved in building that first senior center, and she was part of that design where they had the hogan just right in the back. And she was very much involved in that and creating that, but then it was replicated in other places. So, you know, I don't know if we still have, you know, access to those blueprints, those designs, whether we own them or not, I don't know. I think that'll be just the extent of my comments. If they feel like they have response to some of those, I would appreciate it, and appreciate just kind of hearing what you feel like your timeline in terms of your capacity. When could these things happen? And so that okay.
Thank you. With that, Honorable, your next meeting.
Well, don't have my colleagues and my staff, I don't, that, they're clear about it. I'm going. Senior centers and then with our chapters too. And, first thing I wanted to say is that, I did. But I be told chapter, said from the senior center that they wanted to utilize the house for the Christmas celebration, and they were told to get insurance. Late were supposed to be under the chapter, and then they had now shoe game in the same chapter, and they would tell them to get insurance. So I ended up in the elders. And AD and the veterans, you know, they're under the same, they're under the navigation, we probably even say that to them. And we, years before, when I was at the gym, that's the only they can't have report teacher and then I guess guys have your son at everybody's sick, especially chair. Yes. Hear the end of it. So TD, you have Ibito Senior Center and Honolulu Senior Center on here on your list. And so ADD kind of I see like Ibito Senior Center, I saw their new brand new although and I don't know if that's the case, a issue for sure, especially for document. So yeah, but and Kaibito is very small senior center. They only they can only hold like 30 to 35 people in there. So when they have a Christmas party, they have people all at home sitting outside the home. So I call Kaibito Senior Center, in the building in Honolulu. Still were backed up so many times, and then the summer when the weather gets very sewer in there in the buildings. Isn't been silent for so long. Cheating, cheating is their base to home. Sometimes it's right there. So, and we already have ready. We're ready for you guys to build our senior centers. AEL. Slate or Slate Senior Center. I know they center completed. Or created and see what they're missing. HEHSC and centers and I don't know how this goes.
Thank you. So really quickly, I don't know what sure, it's going to be talking about this. For me, I'm just worried about the 50,000 that the senior center is supposed to receive. When will each of our senior centers have access to that 50,000? Reason why I'm saying that is because as Jedito, we did our part, and so we have a brand new money for the new furnitures and the appliances. Another, we have a new facility as well. And then Cornfield, we do have a facility, but we're just waiting for that 50,000. as well to get the renovation of one of those and facility facility. So if you can get back to me with that, that's fine, you can email me. I'm gonna get going here now. I have the Santa suit for my janitorial taxpayers on election. That's new, so I need to get that over to them. Then, of course, I have all these giveaways and then I have little girls' shoes that I need to give away as well. They're janitorial. And then complete that single today, this afternoon. So, but I'm just more concerned, you can email me, what I'd like to do with you is when there's time, I'd like to invite all 5 of my chapters, set up a meeting with the 5 chapters for both of you. Work on that sometimes in January. So that way we know. Yeah. But I don't think Marvin will be able to be at that meeting at that time. Yeah. But and congratulations, Don. We look forward to having you join us. So thank you, and I know we can see you guys again. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Have a pleasant time with your friends. Excuse myself. Again.
You and safe travels to you with all of their things and leadership too. Um, your families and your communities. That's the extent of comments is the LGBT so.
Chair Jim said to you need a gift before you leave, I guess. And so $4 million for the new senior citizen construction plan. If you come over to the Anna chapter and meet with the new official there, because we've got all new officials there that needs to be educated on this funding. Yes. Because we have a new transition that's happening there, and I'd like to see this project to proceed. And then I'd like to the senior citizen department for giving $2,000 money for revenue set well. We have to shoot for that, you know. That's on the next one is third one is you know, with that we have legislation there. It says there's no expectation of anything. But Mason and I talked to those guys, it's just they're not getting along. They're chapter official. And so I'm gonna have meetings with them. I guess. You know, to see what their needs are. You know, why they're not, you know, responding to emails. For their needs all this time. And then with Mexican water, they really take over to get that funding and to get their project started too as well. It's one of the. I think we have a president that wrote us a letter here that seems like he doesn't really have confidence in you guys to get this project off the ground. He's going to say that for that, you know, prove them wrong. And so I just want to say that yeah, you know, Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Yeah.
About any other comments, questions from committee members? I'm gonna go ahead and hand it back over to DCD as well as, Department of Health, just for any response or any updates to,
Thank you again, Dr. I think the Simonson, I think, on the risk management again. A lot of times we orientate the chapters every physical year, make sure that they submit a summary exposure. Whatever that is within their chapter, with sure that those are submitted to risk management. That way, if anything happened, they're covered under our insurance. So ADA, I don't know where building and all that, so just so people have it information. Your question again, that was some data capacity. We sort of covered that before. Data capacity isn't really there for DC, CPMD. That's the reason why we wanted to also use the IDIQ. IDIQ, this is how we can get the project management. Well, the other question is, we did cover the prioritization. And one of the things that we wanted to start off first is the identity of the low hanging fruit ones that were, which is the equipment, some faculty, I'd say, James, the furniture, we can probably. Priority is, there's I believe I said 14 million that is at New Mexico capital outlay for senior centers. And one of the priorities so we can start spending down on those. So that would be our priority. The other one, probably that's one on the list is, I don't know if there's any kind of list any big major renovation on this, because once you demolish, if you're going to take down, start with these asbestos and abatement and all that, so that costs a lot of money. The other one too, that we're going to do, which is being done by Texas, put it in categories. That way, all data on top of it, it's huge. Like you put them separate. It's manageable. So the equipment, the furniture, minor renovation, extras, whatever. So that way it's manageable. The other one is the design. So setup. We've been telling chapters mainly some of these buildings and the warehouses. Some chapters, they want a huge building, but they're only serve not the rock. You cut it down. Other reasons operating and maintenance. Because looking at one of the chapters, they have a huge building, but they have a business. Electric bill, utility bill, and sometimes they can't pay. That's with us, we do tell them that. Yes, question on the insurance. Well, yes. So I did tell them, it's there for the people. They never idea, and not check. I do agree with you that we shouldn't be paying insurance. If it's a therefore seniors function, veteran function, anything that's functions that's tied into a chapter, we shouldn't be paying. And probably 90%, probably don't be. It's a few. I guess yours is one, but I'll go ahead and do check. That, no,
Honorable delegates of the Health and Education Human Services Committee. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. First of all, thank you for having us here. We're honored to be here. And Navajo Department of Health, as you know, is working aggressively in terms of their status, the work regarding CO 4324. And you know that the memo that is attached to it by President, specifically mentioning certain chapters. I just want to just say a little bit about that, and that basically is a reflection of the work that we need to improve on. The spreadsheet that we created and was submitted to council, there are discrepancies in it. For example, as he stated, there are areas where it states that we need money for security cameras for those chapters, but at the end it says we want more money for chapters in for the security cameras. So basically that's a reflection of what was submitted, and that was something I had already addressed internally to our staff, indicating that when we're submitting this to council, we need to ensure that we have all the necessary information that recognizes the true needs of our facilities. HEHSC delegate Yuzito with regards to where it said no, nothing received or submitted for his chapter. That was one of my greatest concerns. It said this submission to council is not fair to some of the senior centers, and how are our elders going to look at us knowing that that was what we concluded to from Daltic stating that, we're not recommending any funds for that specific senior center because we didn't hear back from them. That's our job, that's our responsibility, because we also have to remember when we talk senior centers out there, those employees at the senior centers are our employees. So there is no reason for us not to obtain that information. For example, when Arvind speaks to say the chapters, those are his employees that are at the chapters from his ASC department. So that's similar to ours. And so internally, I have expressed to my staff that we need to do better on our spreadsheet in terms of vetting it to make sure that whatever we submit to council is a true reflection of what our needs are. So I wanted to express that to each and every one of you with regards to the letter from President. I also wanted to notate the categorization on the spreadsheet that we had created early on and is attached to this legislation is definitely a tool that we're going to be using in terms of identifying how we're going to be moving forward with project management. Our number one priority, one is of course to still do the building assessments, but also look at the low hanging fruit, and we're really start working with those chapters immediately who are ready to go. And so we're going to be establishing them in tiers and start working closely with DCD. But one of the challenges that we have that we want to also work with DCD is the outdated lead agency for the Navajo Nation that's from 1989. And so early on, HSA Littleman started to work with the Department of Justice to do an RFP on a lot of this work. And she was immediately told that she was unable to because DCD is the lead agent on a lot of the construction processes. So we have to really sit back and work aggressively with the Division of Community Development or reassess our plan of operation to include that we can do construction activities. And I know that's doable because public safety did include that in their plan of operation. So that gives them the ability to do construction management under their plan of operation. So that is something that we're definitely going to look towards in terms of moving forward, because that will give us more leeway to actually get a lot of work done. A lot of our budgets for this legislation are complete under HSA Littleman for the 184 million, or the 148 million. But we still need to sit down and work with Honorable Delegate, aka Division Director, with the remaining Mitchell with the remaining 35 million that was appropriated to the Division of Community Development. So this legislation does totally compilate to $184,153,419. But we will be working diligently with his team to see what the progress is moving forward.
Does that complete your response?
Okay, so that's not connection, and so that we go to Ann. Yes. That was one of your questions. The other one that I got, on the New Mexico, yeah, we sort of, did something different this time around, which is, okay, chapters, if you're gonna go to, Santa Fe, ask for money, before you put it into the portal, we need to vet your projects and then, create a checkoff list, meaning that your land withdrawal, this, and all is there. You just ready for construction, maybe, this one, just reading the president's memo, so can't you please? That's another thing that is on board, to my use.
That's a good comment that I wanted, I'm wondering, so what IDIQ can have set up sort of to the regions, and I'm wondering if you would do the same, in terms of new build and renovation, like you would just have maybe one contractor. I'm seeing it sort of like this, okay, you have one contractor just within my 5 chapters, doing renovation and new build. But I'm also wondering, well, ARPA projects are out there, well, NECA and their subcontractors are out there. Because I'm seeing that they're not, so they're busy, but I'm seeing that according to either the time that they get supplies or the time, however way they stage their activity, maybe there's a point in time where like they only have enough supply for the half a day. And then the other half a day they don't, and they're just like, okay, what do we do? They're in limbo. Could they sandwich and could they stack some of these maybe simple renovations while they're in the area? Because I have a lot of NECA work happening in my area right now. Since they're already there, is there a possibility they could, sandwich in some of the other activities? And that's just a suggestion. I mean, I don't know. It might get complicated in terms of how they're billing their billing us because they're asking them to sandwich. But I'm just wondering about that. The second thing though, I just wanted to comment among my colleagues is that they really wanted like real estimates, like almost detailed estimates. And I thought, and I see that President is asking for the same things, but I'm just like, but you don't really get that till you're actually, like right now is really just an estimate. We're just looking at it just real quick. But the real estimate comes when somebody gets in there and starts peeling layers, and that's when you see maybe a real estimate, which, so to me, they were asking for this end product, like, we want you to get out there and start peeling things off and then, finding exactly what needs to happen, then come back to us with those numbers. So I was just like, no, an estimate is just an estimate, but even then, when you get out there, those numbers can change, they're always changing. So that there's not, even though you pinpoint the dollar amount, it might not always be that amount. So that was just my thought on that. But yes, I would like to, really just see work sessions as we begin. And I'd really like to just see how you plan out, stage out how all of this work is going to go. And then meeting with the chapter certainly is good. And I would like to be part of those meetings as well. So thank you very much for all of your work. And I really want to see my buildings come up within a year or maybe 2. But like I said, don't ask me to come back in 6 years for groundbreaking, because I don't want to. And everything is just going up so fast, the costs and everything. So change discussion, but let's really I think we have the ability to do that. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else with more comments, questions? Go ahead, Dr. Emmons.
Thank you. I have some question about it. The division of city. So Mine is the timeline. And can't go what we work our chapters or our respective senior centers, and respondents and communication. And then if there's anything that we need to push, I know there's potential discussion regarding the specific legislation, but just the timeline and kind of our expectation. Moving.
Comments before I turn it back. And go ahead.
Insurance, I don't know any options, Dr. India's, that could keep you to the timelines. I know that we have a joint timeline, present, right here before us, so I'll turn the board with your agency again to go over the timeline. This is part of the little things, services administrator. I'll just go over two timelines, one for the budget and then for the request for proposal. As far as the budgets, we have 90% of the budget's complete and 10% are pending. Of the ones that we submitted to DCD, they are signed by DCD and get all of them completed. We want to sit. Should be done by the end of next week, if not sooner. It'll be up to, well, it should be up to, we'll follow up with OMB, but we'll give them some time to review. Issuing the business unit number. We believe we have 60 budgets completed out of the 81. Other 20 were they're in draft and further in there. Because we were told that ECB is the lead agent under for this specific. We complete the budget forms. Technically, they should have completed the budget forms, but we wanted to get it done. So we've completed it, and so she signs it, and then we're having our just sign the budget forms, and that is how we're getting to the request for proposal, that's for the assessment. If we do draft any RFPs and get them to, from the time we draft the RFPs, we advertise, we bid opening and get the contracts in place. The earliest I'm thinking is the beginning for us to issue the notice to proceed by March 2025. To request for proposal, but if we use the IDIQ, we can start working with the consultant as soon as OMB issues the business unit numbers. To be probably by the end of January. Else you want to add to that? Working closely then, I'm assuming with Ms. Yazzie, and that you're gonna sign up on her documents. That's good. Kind of like when people can play next together. He's my buddy. Okay, any other questions, comments, committee members? Other than that, go ahead. If there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and ask the approval to census report.
Honorable Motion second.
The motion was made by Courtesy Meetsville, second by Jermaine Simonson for the report on Navajo Department of Health and Navajo Division of Community Development. This is a roll call vote. Honorable Courtesy Meetsville, how do you vote? Thank you, Honorable Courtesy Meetsville votes 3, and Honorable Dr. Andy Ness, how do you vote? Thank you, Honorable Dr. Andy Ness votes 3. Honorable Helena Ness, how do you vote? I vote 3. Thank you, Honorable Helena Ness, votes 3. Honorable Chair Vic James is excused, and Honorable George Tolt is excused. With that, Honorable Vice Chair Jermaine Simonson, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 not voting, Vice Chair.
Gentlemen, for your report, and appreciate it. Well, be looking forward to, well, discuss among us how we'll, maybe structure. Okay, all right, thank you. Next, we move on to more reports / update. Department of Health, and that is discussion of the HEHSC resolution number HEHSC and A-02-03. And our presenters are Sherilyn Mousy, Interim Executive Director, Department of Health, Legislative Analyst, Department of Health. And thank you for coming for the committee. Can I get a motion to hear this report update? Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? Dr. Andy Mann, motion, second shot. I need to second. And then do we have any questions? Any questions or comments? And then, what we want to do, we just want to provide an update. Is that what you're doing? Okay. Update to the resolution? Yeah, okay. All right, well, we'll go ahead and give you some time for the update.
Thank you again. Good morning. To the Honorable Delegates of the Health and Education Human Services Committee, Navajo Department of Health, and just like to provide an update regarding Resolution 02-23 regarding the delegation for Navajo area representatives for HEHSC to the National Tribal Budget Formation Work Group, as well as the Direct Service Tribal Advisory Committee. And I'd like to yield the floor to our legislative analyst, Ms. Michelle Lawrence. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and new member. I'm sorry, that's 23, and we made this on. But for there's been some changes for some of the people names that are on this document that was passed in 2023, and we wanted to provide an up. The designation for the key staff and the budget formulation item. So at the work session, it will mention that these committees are having their meetings, and right now the way their legislation reads. Let me go first to page 2 of the legislation. There's 3 committees that the HEHSC committee are assigned for DSAC, it's delegate Jermaine Simonson. For SANSA, it's delegate Courtesy Vito, and for TLC, Tribal Diabetes Leadership Committee, it's George Holt. And according to the page 2, item E, it has Department of Health Executive Director. I have Ron Toomey's name. We need to change that out into Director Yazi's name for correction. And then the discussion on that designation, if you want to
making any changes, the committee can make those changes or discuss if they want to add more people to represent, now I'm making that these meetings are attending in February. It was mentioned at the town budget formulation, and it was mentioned at the work session that we need more representation from HEHSC committee at the budget formulation, because Simonson is other rights and other issues that she's tasking on education and other initiatives, so there might be an opportunity if you want to ask your colleagues to help you out to cover that. And then if you go on to exhibit bottom of the official letter, so basically the way these designations work is there's a letter from the president from the executive side, and then the legislation from the committee with the resolution, so they both go hand in hand. So if we're gonna make changes to the legislation, we also need to modify the letter, and you'll see on page 1 at the bottom, it mentions the names, and also needs to be changed out if we can make an edit on page 2 of the first letter, dated as technical advisor, it had Rhonda Tooney's name. We need to change that out to Director Yazzie, and the email as well. And then at the bottom, we were abreast of some changes at OPVP. And we're gonna scratch off Executive Director Ahoskin and add in Kristen Carl, the new scheduler for President's office, and her email. And then on the next page over, after column, I had Rhonda Tooney. We need to scratch that out and change that to Cheryl and Yazzie, and also modify the email. That's the first legislation. The first page of the February 24th letter to Dr. Hurd, and then Captain Hurd, and for SAMHSA. We also have a modification here. Dr. Brand was no longer with behavioral mental health, so we want to change that out to Vera Johns, the delegated health service administrator, and also her email will also change. And if you go over to page 2, we also have the change there to add in President's new scheduler and change out the designees for the point of contact to our executive director, Cheryl Yazzie, and her email. On exhibit for TLBC, diabetes committee. 2. For the technical advisor, we also have a change in the management there. Radina Cole is the new program manager for diabetes. We want to add her name in there and her email. And also add in president's and scheduler to that. And then the last paragraph is Director Yazzie's email as the point of contact and her email. So those are the changes that we want to request, and the designation for DSAC is open for discussion. Vice Chair, members.
For the update and your recommendations, for changes that should be made. With the absent, we have 2 members absent here. We have Chair Dave's not here with us, as well as Mr. Hope. And I think, and I'd like to hear what our committee members think, but I would like to maybe hold off a bit. And I don't know when your timeline is in terms of getting this this legislation maybe amended and done again. But I would like at the least give the other 2 opportunity. Because I think I would like to maybe wait, hold off a bit until all members are present, so we can have that discussion, because so that's what I would like to do. And if any other members here has any additional maybe recommendations that you want to speak on. Dr. Andy.
Yeah, I think that's fine with me too, but I wonder if the letter think like if we're updating, it's really just exhibits like what's on here. Here's a lot. But if we can make it to where we're. I don't have names, but there's just changes in this administration sees. Maybe those types of, that's on standing types. That would just be my initial recommendation. Thank you.
So on these letters that come from Mr. Knight, is that what you're saying, if you want to see just like in terms of executive director, executive director, and or, okay, that sounds adequate. Any other recommendations? Okay, and what, I'm going back to you here, presenters, what time frame would you like us to see you do this?
Would you like to move on if you want? Yes, Vice Chair, members, yes, the timeline is flexible because, the only major meeting that's upcoming is in February, is the budget summation. And as long as we get it recorded. That, and I think we're okay. For the other committees, their next quarter, the next quarter, which will be the end of January or February. Okay, on time, formality of changing the contract, that's the one that we want to try to get. So we're okay to wait on the next meeting. Okay.
Inform chair and, minister told that we'll need to come back and appoint additional, folks to these things, to these committees, because yes, I feel like we are all very stretched then, and I did hear your, request to have, more people involved in these discussions, so, we did hear that. I'd like to, before, I see your hand, Mr. Anita, but before we proceed, I just want to recognize we have, well, I saw a third one, but I guess you left. I have three delegates that came in are part of our proceedings here today. We have Delegate Arvizo, as well as Vice Chair Keith Allen Johnson, as well as Chair Otto So. They're here in and out here, so welcome to our committee meeting and for joining us. So let me go ahead and hand it over to the meeting. So,
Yeah, thank you. Lieutenant Chair. I have a question on the replacements. Did you contact the people that needs to be replaced out here? Is it okay with them? There's any question like that.
and I just for clarification, I need you need to, are you speaking to the replacement? Because then there's those replacements, and then plus there's not so much replacements, but additions from the same.
Yeah, the whole.
Okay, but you've worked out your replacements, the people that have left with new people. Oh. So yes, I do appreciate that, and I think what I just want to say, over to you, Dr. Inez, I lose. I would just like to say that, I think, also from the Washington staffers, the Washington office, I know in some of the meetings, so there's pivot, right? There's pivot. And generally I see more of our Washington office staffers there. But with like DSCAC, with the current one, there was no one there. And so besides me, there was no one else. So I would just like to say that I don't know, you mentioned a name, Christians, Carl? Are they, so I know you mentioned that her title maybe, so I don't know if she is one of the staffers in the Washington office that is assigned towards HEHSC, business. But I just want to come back to you and say, could you work with Mr. Augustine maybe to assign an actual staffer, because, that they, I know he has staffers that each have their, specific, like policies that they work on areas. And so would he recommend someone who is more, knows about IHS duties and fee staff fees, perhaps he could assign one of those to the fee staff activities. So I would just, I would like to make that recommendation, and then also be good to have them there as well. So this past, there was a lot of activity happening in Washington. There was the traditional healing summit, and then there was the civic, and then there was, and then there was staff and staff as well. And so it was just, we were all spread thin, we're all just kind of running around there. And so it was, I felt like I was the loner over at Stack because I was the only one over there. I was trying to look over, like my technical advisor as well as somebody in Washington office. So so that we are spread thin for sure. So the more people we can have there, that's great. And I do agree we need additional people in there. So we'll go ahead and however way we'll go compare however we.
Do you want?
So, yeah, we'll do that. That's it, we got my comment. Okay, all right. Any other comments, questions on this?
Madam Vice Chair, I have just a clarification. There are no limits, like, any years that, limit the, any of our HES members to serve on any of these advisory boards.
Yes.
And, because that would have to be placed on, I guess, the next, what is it is? And also the second, you said you wanted more participation. So the second HES member, would they be an alternate or would they also be a full member?
Alternate, they would be the alternate.
Okay.
The members can sign. Sure.
I'm like, thank you. To respond.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yes, on the Sonali, yes, you are correct, there is a limit term, it's a 4-year term with your elected capacity. And then they change over after that, and then there is something, these are all ICANN policies, by the way, they're statute and I'll exhibit describing the committees, and there is a allows them to make changes. That also happens, but it is a elected term. And with the new changeover for the congressional leadership coming year, other committees will be changing theirs, but again, we're not really sure who's gonna get appointed to IHS yet, so. But for now, we wanna just make sure we update our representation because some people have left our organization and there's been changes, and then also from 2023 have changed for us organizationally, and making sure we get those notices and we can plan and make sure we get representation there. And then the second question is that yes, if you add on another designee, they would be the alternate or the technical advisor. Answer your question.
Or do you withdraw?
Yeah, thank you, Vice Chair. So I will defer, well, I guess we'll add this back on to
Yes.
the next meeting, and then thereafter, if we get the volunteers there,
Yeah.
we'll, I guess, we'll have a sponsor for legislation.
And yeah, so I don't know on the next agenda, you just write discussion, like it has to be discussion that happens.
Okay.
So how we'll proceed with that. Yes. Put it on our next agenda as discussion and mostly here, so it should be here. And in the meantime, I guess if any of you really want to be of assistance with that. There is a monthly call, as well as the in-person meetings too, so. It's just, you know, how busy our calendars are, it's, yeah, so in any case, just think about that. Nothing else, any other questions, comments from our committee members? Going once, going twice, gone, and we'll go ahead and proceed with the roll call vote to accept this report.
Chair, this is to accept report B, National Department of Health, discussion to update the HES resolution number HEHSC MA-02-03, presenters Carolyn M. Yazzie, interim executive director, Department of Health. Michelle Morris, legislative analyst, Department of Health. Honorable Curtis, you vote.
Me.
Thank you, Honorable Curtis. You need to vote screen. Honorable Dr. Andy Ness, how do you vote? Thank you, Honorable Dr. Andy Ness, vote screen. Honorable Helena Ness Begay, how do you vote? Thank you, Honorable Helena Ness Begay, vote screen. Honorable Chair Vince James is excused. Honorable George Tolt is excused. Honorable Vice Chair Jermaine Simonson, we have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 not voting. Vice Chair.
Thank you, and thank you, presenters, and we will discuss another next meeting. Going forward, we did delete the administration. We go into new business. The old business, such as none. And then we move on to number 8, close of meeting, announcement, adjournment, next meeting, and travel. So here we have, Monday, January 6th, we decided to have a special meeting in lieu of Monday, January 27th. And then we have our regular meeting on January 13th. And then we have our, a special meeting on January 21st, which is day in lieu of Monday, since Monday the holiday. Our upcoming travel, announcements, and if anybody has any additional announcements, we'll be committee members, do any of you have additional announcements? Questions, comments? Going one, going twice? And let's go ahead and motion to adjourn our meeting. Do I have a motion? A motion, okay, second? Yeah, you too? And yes, that's why. Okay, can we go ahead and proceed with the roll call?
Thank you,
All
Vice
in
Chair.
favor? Oh, aye. There you go.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 not voting, Vice Chair.
Train me. Okay, well, I don't have a gavel. Meeting adjourned. They traveled, members, staffers, thank you. Thank you.
Rodney, I end on this one, right?
What?
I end on Zoom.
2024?
I just do.
Go to Firefox.